Hello, Carrots here. Welcome to episode 8 of Oscar and Louise. In this episode, Louise and the other two girls have all grown up and it's graduation time. Broody old Bluey was looking out the window. Then he decided to do his childish thing and play with a toy until his wife, Lorna, showed up. Now, Lorna is evil and she decided to give him a telling off, but that wasn't unusual. Louis didn't have to do anything to earn it. She just felt like telling somebody off, and of course Bluey was handy, so he copped it. If Louise had been around, I suppose she's the one who would have copped the telling off, because she was her mother's regular target. Louis tried to calm the situation down by having a little flirt, but of course Lorna was in no mood for that. So Bluey went back to contemplating the window and brooding a bit. Now, although the girls, all three of them, had now aged up to young adult, they still shared a bedroom. Louise was thinking about moving out, probably to a new world, but she couldn't go anywhere until graduation day. So I set them about reading books and building their skills in preparing them for their future life as independent grown-up Sims. Of course, that doesn't mean that they would all want to leave home. Louise does, but the other two might decide that they can't manage without their parents. Bluey got on well with Ray. They were having a pillow fight, and that green doll that you can see in the mirror, that was Ray's original form. She was a green imaginary friend belonging to Leanne before she became real when they aged up to teens. At least Bluey's got somebody he can chat with who isn't going to pick on him, except, of course, Ray is evil, but I'm not too sure if she's going to attack Bluey all the time or not. In her doll form, Ray's name was Rags, and I wanted to give her a name that would start with an R, and I was going to call her Raylene, but that was going to take a lot of typing every time I used her name, so I decided to shorten it to Ray. Now, I was hoping that she might join Bluey in the angler career, but she has a wish to join the criminal career, which is appropriate for her evilness, I suppose. So Bluey may not have her for very long. And as usual, when something upsets him, he retreats to the window to do a little brooding. Now, Bluey had earlier gone to the future just for a little trip to see what was there, and he found some interesting things, but that's going to be in one of my little short outtake videos. He found some crystal plants while in the future, and he brought them back and planted them near the Tree of Prosperity, but the game's been crashing ever since he did that, so I'm thinking that they don't get on too well together, the Tree of Prosperity and the crystal plants, that is. That time portal's being a bit of a problem too, and it may have to go. Bluey and Lorna are both cowards, and every time somebody comes through it, they run off in a screaming fit because they are terrified of what might come through that time portal, because the whole house shakes as well every time somebody comes through. Lots of tourists are coming through from the future. Otherwise, life goes on as normal as we await graduation day. The twins are studying, reading recipes and skill books and fishing books, while Lorna and Bluey exercise their childish trait and play with the toys. Don't worry, Bluey, you're safe. Her mind's on something else at the moment. Maybe it's dinner time. There's somebody's come through the time portal. The whole house shakes. And then they set off, having their little terrified run. Nothing like having a couple of cowards in the house. Such fun. So that's a visitor from the future. One thing Bluey did discover in the future, that he has a lot of descendants who are also descended from Sally Bartlett, who is the Sim that lives across the road. So maybe something's going to happen between Bluey and Sally after Louise leaves town. I'm wondering how he got such a lot of Bartlett descendants. Now, at this point, Bluey and Lorna were both still young adults, and I thought having young adult daughters meant that they ought to be adults. So Bluey and then Lorna aged up to adult. We didn't use cake, and there was no actual party. They just became adults with the assistance of a mod, Master Controller to be precise. I used Master Controller intermediate trigger age transition. And there they are. It's a pair of adults now, but they're still childish, so they'll keep playing with their toys. They're still cowards, so they'll keep running away from that time portal, but now they're no longer the same age as their children, which I think is an improvement in the situation. Looks like some of those gnomes are going to need to be aged down as well. I don't want them dying of old age. And then life goes on as usual as they wait for graduation day to arrive, which will happen on Friday. So since they aged up on the weekend and on Monday, it'll be a few days before graduation, and then Louise will be free to leave town to take up her own life, her new life in a new world, where she will meet new Sims. Above all, Louise will be pleased to get away from her mother and having to share her bedroom with her two sisters, and having her mother coming in there playing with the toy box while they're all trying to sleep. Another thing that annoyed Louise slightly was that gnome of the Darned, who kept generating ghosts. It's not that the ghosts bothered Louise greatly, because she wasn't a coward, but both of her parents were cowards, and every time a ghost appeared, which they did quite often, her parents had to go and faint. Sometimes Louise thought it was all put on, but at other times they did seem to be genuinely terrified of those ghosts. So I'm not sure if Louise wants to get away from the ghosts or just her parents' reaction to the ghosts. But in any case, whatever the reason, she's going. Not going to stay here. And tourists from the future just kept on turning up in their front yard and making the house rattle. Leanne was in a hurry to advance her gardening skill. She wanted to revive a few dead plants that the zombies had killed earlier, so she caught a taxi to the library to do some reading of gardening books in the library. That would get her gardening skill up very fast. Leanne had got the green thumb trait when she aged up to young adult. And once she gets her gardening skill up to level 5, she will be able to revive dead plants. So she has a chance of reviving the plants that the zombies killed. But she'll put all future plants inside that fence with a locked gate so the zombies can't come and kill any more of them. Because it's really tedious having to revive plants all the time, and you don't actually succeed every time you try to revive them. When she got back from the library, Leanne did a bit of gardening, and that included imbuing the crystal plants. The blue one was receiving laughter, and the other, the pink one, had to get love. Of course, she had the assistance of a paparazzi. They're always useful, I suppose, in some shape or form. She might as well pick something from that tree of prosperity while she's there and get another skill. She also needed to do some exercise at the gym. She had an opportunity that she needed to fulfill, so she went to the gym and did some workout on the treadmill. I'm thinking that Leanne will probably join the gardening career. We'll just see what happens in the future. She might even go eventually to live with Louise in her new world. Looks like Ray's had enough of those Sims coming through that time portal, and she's decided to deactivate it. Not that it will do her any actual good, because they'll still keep coming through. A brief moment of peaceful family time with the assistance of a paparazzi in the dark. Best imagine that's it, they're reading in the dark. I don't know what Louis is doing. Oh, he was eating, and now he's going to play with a toy. That evil pair, Lorna and Ray, are not getting on so well by the look of it. Uh-oh, slaps. Haven't seen that happen before. I suppose now that Ray's grown up, she's a bit braver than she was before. Lorna wasn't very happy. She's run off to stare at the wall. I remember having a school teacher do that to me once when I was in grade 8. She decided that we didn't deserve her teaching skills, and she used to walk into the classroom, get a chair and sit in the corner, facing the wall with her back to the class. And that was her way of passing the lesson. Needless to say, I didn't do very well on my German that year. Graduation day arrived eventually, and they all piled into the family Twizzy and set off for City Hall for the graduation of the three new young adults. And here they are arriving. Now Louise got a strange hat, and Ray had a slightly different uniform, or graduation gown. So they eventually all filed into City Hall for the ceremony. And then, after much time had passed, they emerged with their diplomas. There's Leanne, going to toss hers in the air. And we just barely caught all three of them then tossing and catching their diplomas, and then they head off home. I suspect you'd like to know how they went. So starting with Leanne, I will give you their results. Congratulations! Leanne has graduated from community high school with highest honours. Her classmates have voted her most likely to save the world. The future is bright for this young graduate. And now it's Ray's turn. Congratulations! Ray has graduated from community high school with the highest honours. Her classmates have voted her most likely to fulfil her lifetime wish. The future is bright for this young graduate. Now Louise's results surprised me, so I left her to last. And here is what Louise got. Congratulations! Louise has graduated from community high school with highest honour. She has also been selected as class valedictorian because of her outstanding school performance. Her classmates have voted her most likely to get married. The future is bright for this young graduate. So there they are, the three new young adult Sims have graduated and now they're off home and ready to start their new life. At this point, anything is possible for all of them. When they get home, they have a nice family time together for a while, talking and congratulating each other and learning to get used to the new status of all members of the household. But there are a few tidying up things to do before Louise is able to leave home for good. The main issue I need to tidy up is when they all went to the prom while they were still at high school. They all came home with a romantic interest, and I want to break up those romantic interests because I want them to start fresh with their new lives. I specifically don't want Louise to have a romantic interest back in Riverview when she heads off to live in Hidden Springs, because I want her to meet Oscar and not have any baggage to take with her. And Leanne and Ray have decided that they are romantic interests, and I really don't want Leanne being attached to Ray either. And of course the other reason I'm happy to break them all up is because I've never seen any romantic interactions between any of them. It's just that the game has put a heart that shows romantic interest, and it happened at the prom. A little later, they were all still in their academic gowns, their graduation robes, and Louise was painting. Leanne was talking to Bluey when she noticed Ray sitting there watching TV. So Leanne took the opportunity to go over to Ray and ask that they just be friends. And I take it as evidence that they weren't terribly attached to each other. I mean, I didn't want Leanne ending up with an evil Sim as a spouse, and they had never been romantic together as far as I could see. And after they break up, they were good friends. So I think apart from the fact that Ray wasn't happy with the original news and gave Leanne a bit of a slap in the face, that was all there was to it. And then they were good friends and life went on. Now it leaves Louise to go and do the deed with Dallas Shallow, who is still a teen. Louise invited Dallas Shallow to meet her at the roller coaster park, which he did. And you see, he's still a teen, she's a young adult, she wants to get up and start her life. So she gave him the news. After an initial greeting, she told him that she just wanted to be friends. He's still very attached to her though, but she's telling him she's leaving town, she's not going to stick around, so it's best if they break up, because they probably won't ever see each other again. And he's run off, he's happy, sort of, not real happy, but he's accepted the fact. And I'm wondering why she's heading off into the roller coaster park. Then I discovered that she has a date with Nellie Spencer. They're going to go on a roller coaster ride. So I thought, okay, we're going to have one more look around the roller coaster park before we leave for Hidden Springs, because this roller coaster will not be in Hidden Springs. Let's watch the rest of the ride from here on. It's nearly over now. This is actually the longer of the two roller coasters in this park. So that's it. Louise is heading home. A last look at the Sweet Treats roller coaster park, which is something I built, and it's in my studio on the Sims 3 site. Homeward bound. She's going home to say goodbye to her family, and the next time we see her, she'll be in her home in Hidden Springs. Now Louise is in Hidden Springs, and she's decided that the best way to meet people is to do some online dating. So she sets herself up a profile, and then she does a bit of looking at to see other profiles that are there, but she doesn't see anything that she likes. So she remembered that her mother had told her about an old friend who was living in Hidden Springs. So she headed off over to her mother's old friend's place to say hello and announce her presence in the new town. After a short drive through her new town of Hidden Springs, she arrives. Now this family friend has a lot of cats, and her name is Gertie McFluff. And if you'd like to know more about Gertie McFluff, well, there is the McFluff story that is also on my YouTube channel. We'll see McFluff cats roaming around Hidden Springs throughout the story of Oscar and Louise. And we may even spot Gertie occasionally, but I don't think Louise is going to be visiting her very often, if at all, after this one first meeting. Gertie invites her inside, and she meets a few of the cats, and then she decides to go for a wander downstairs for some reason. I had no control over this. Off she went. So I thought, okay, let's go see what's down there. This house is not as well set up as the one in the McFluff story, but it is basically the same house. And there happens to be a sculpting station down here, and Louise has the artistic trait, so for some reason she decided to do a sculpture while she was at Gertie's place. So I let her get on with it. I thought she might as well finish it. After a while, Gertie wandered down to see what she was up to, and they had a little chat. Louise had never attempted a sculpture before, so I was very surprised that she wanted to do this. But I also wanted to see what she'd done, and so I got her to finish it after she'd finished chatting with Gertie. When Gertie pulled her black dragon out, Louise got back to sculpting. Louise was concentrating on her sculpting But when Gertie put the black dragon on her shoulder and then wandered over to the spell book and started studying the spell book, I started to worry a little bit about Louise's safety. I wondered what spell Gertie might be trying to look up, and if she might be going to maybe try to turn Louise into a cat. But Louise just kept on sculpting. Apparently, Gertie couldn't find a suitable spell, so she got on to practicing her magic. And Louise ignored all of this. She was just so engrossed in her sculpting. Poor Louise had no idea, because her mother hadn't warned her, that Gertie was completely obsessed with magic and with cats. Her entire life was lived around her obsession with her cats. Her lifetime wish, Gertie's lifetime wish, was to befriend 15 cats, and she only had 10 in the household at this point. And there didn't seem to be many cats around Hidden Springs that she could adopt. And while she was practicing her magic, it's entirely possible that she was thinking if only she could turn Louise into a cat, because she knew Louise had just arrived in town. And nobody knew she was here yet. Only Gertie knew about her. Is Louise in imminent danger of not being a young woman after all, after her great work and achievements at school, and here she is on her first day in Hidden Springs, in danger of being turned into a cat. Fortunately, after conjuring a few apples, Gertie decided that she didn't really want to turn this girl into a cat, at least not just yet. So Louise kept on sculpting, and Gertie wandered off with her black dragon on her shoulder. Louise had never actually met a witch before, and she had no idea that witches had magic powers. Back at home, Louise checked her profile again for online dating, but she still didn't find anyone interesting. Louise has a lifetime wish, and it is golden tongues, golden fingers. She needs to master the guitar and charisma skills, and she doesn't have a guitar, so I decided to buy her one. She practiced at home for a while, and then she decided that she would join the music career. Not that she wanted to achieve much in music, but she just thought she needed to have a job, and she might meet some interesting people there. You never know who she'll meet working in the music career. After visiting the theatre and joining the music career, she called in at the festival grounds, where she tried a bit of skating. And who should she meet but somebody that she had come across when she had been at the theatre. There's Oscar. He's competing in a hot dog eating competition. So she thought she'd just wander over and watch the competition. Now Oscar's ambition happens to be to become a rock star. Oscar's father was in the music career as well, so he's grown up in a household with lots of music. As she's cheering him on, she noticed him earlier at the theatre, and that woman there in the red dress, and I think she actually lives at Gertie's place with all the cats. What's Oscar going to do now? Oh, he's not feeling very well by the look of it. Uh-oh. Sick. But Louise doesn't mind. She's finally met somebody who she thinks is quite attractive, an interesting young man. Wow, there's hearts. This is a perfect little introduction, because I don't think he actually saw her when she saw him, when she applied for her job. And she's got hearts too. Things are happening faster than I'd expected for these two. And the paparazzi are there to keep an eye on them. So they get to know each other. She's met Oscar. Things are going well.
Dr. Morpher.
So he got a picture of her. She's on his mind now. He thinks it's beautiful scenery there. She's gone off to make herself an ice cream, which she's going to eat. She doesn't want to appear too anxious to get to know him, even though she thinks he's totally gorgeous, and she was just the man that she's been trying to find, I think. But he's a rock star, or on the way to being a rock star, and he probably won't like her for very long. And yes, he's got his eye on another one as well.
Ova Nunan. Laracus Salini Belashini.
Odate. Takub, love.
But there's no hearts from Oscar.
Kijumizaba. Twin Swoopable. And the Plaza.
Vanake.
They're not getting on very well, are they? That's good news for Louise. Now, I want them to talk to each other, Oscar and Louise, but she's decided to go and make herself another cone, which is not what I wanted her to do. And Oscar's heading over to practice soccer. And I think she should be doing that as well. So I wonder if I can get her away from that cone. Oscar's got his shirt off and he's practicing. Yes, she's leaving the cone. She's going over to practice with Oscar. I don't want him running off with somebody else. And I'm pretty sure he's got quite a lot of young ladies in his list of friends. And Louise is really just one more of them. But he's got to go to work. So she's left on her own now. If she hadn't gone after that second cone, she might have had more time to get Oscar's favourable attention. He hasn't seen her in her athletic outfit yet, but the paparazzi have. And so that's the end of the video. She's met Oscar. Not sure how long it's going to take for them to actually get together. I'm not sure how long she's going to stay in that expensive house that she's living in as well. But things are happening. A lot's happened in this episode. I hope you've enjoyed it. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye bye for now, and happy simming.